Australia, and he gets sent to Australia because he's suspended because she's his biggest fan and she's not doing so well. And he's at the end of his game. He's in his 40 something. So he's right at the end of his game. And it's all about fear, and it's all about what happens when the lights go off. And anyway, but he goes to Australia and he gets roped into playing cricket, which he has no idea. So it's a total fish out of water, but with the most out there Crocodile Dundee-ish Australian characters you've ever seen in your life. And it's just really, really funny. But this little girl teaches him about life, basically. And it's
We'll
fun.
just put out into the universe to Channing Tatum,
Come
when this
on,
comes
Channing.
out.
Yeah, I'd love it.
Your team, because I actually am a huge Dallas fan. I think it's one of the best TV shows that's ever existed, but that's just
Oh,
me.
cool. Yeah.
Your team didn't want you to do it just because it was TV. Because I mean, I do remember at the time it was like, oh wait, Christopher Atkins from, it really wasn't that movie stars did TV.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, my manager was the one that we said yes to it, and he was the one that copped a lot of crap for it through the agents and everything else in the industry, the backside of the industry, because it was doing a TV series, and he was a movie star. He had a 4-year contract with Columbia Pictures. This kind of a thing. You got to keep him a movie star.
Even though it was one of the number one TV shows ever, but I understand. What was that experience like working with Linda Gray? I mean, you had most of your scenes with her, Charlene Tilton.
I have to tell you that it was probably one of the greatest experiences that I've had in the industry, was working with those nutcases. They were the best. They were all like old 60 hippies or something. They were just so, I mean, here's an example, and I've said this before in other interviews, but it's a true story. They were so much fun. So Linda and I had this big first kissing scene. She was the first cougar, really, and I mean, we were on the cover of Us magazine, and robbing the cradle, and all of this kind of stuff. So we had our first kissing scene. It was out on a dock on this pond or whatever, this water, and everybody's standing around. I mean, Priscilla's there, everybody's watching, and some of the crew and everything. And that was kind of weird, but okay, I figured, hey, this is the big deal. So we go and we action, and we do the big kissing scene. And then after that, the cut, and she looks at me, she goes, so how was it? Well, that's kind of a weird question. It was, and also, and she had put that Procaine stuff that they put on the dentist gives you to numb it before they give you a shot, all over her lips. So she kisses me, and now my lips are completely numb, and I'm drooling, and everybody's just laughing and thinking this is the funniest thing ever. And that's the kind of cast and crew they were. They were just awesome.
Well,
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I walked in the very first time into the studio on the lot, and I had to do a photo shoot and everything. And I had a stack of clothes for the photo shoot for Dallas, and I'm holding it like this. And Larry Hagman's walking down the hall, and he goes, "Hey, welcome to the show. Let me take that from." And Larry Hagman carried my clothes and hung them in the closet for me. This is the kind of people they were. It was just great. It was really fun.
Is it true? Because because I know, you were in Speedos for most of your scenes, that, you were told, like, don't stuff your Speedo. And were you actually stuffing your Speedo?
I have no idea what stuffing a Speedo was back then. Are you kidding? I had no clue, but we all laughed about it. But that's a true story. It's a true story.
And were you stuffing it?
Hell no. Come on, man. I have no idea. Are you kidding? If you tried to stuff a Speedo, you could see it stuffed.
That's what I would think, yes. And Linda Gray really was the original cougar, yes. That was a storyline way ahead of its time.
Yeah.
Were you upset that didn't last longer? Like you said, like it was supposed to be 2 seasons.
I didn't really know the difference. It was just moving from one to the next to the next to the next. And like I said, I was having kids at this time, and I was sort of a little preoccupied with all the different things. But I just sort of went with the flow. I probably should have, and I don't like shooting on people, but I probably should have been a little bit more, um, less naive maybe about, okay, well, let's do this, and okay, let's do that. I mean, that's why you hire people. That's why you have people like managers to manage your career and things like that. Um, there probably could have been some better. I mean, I screwed up, but you probably already know that Footloose. I had Footloose, and I was off of my head and heading to Palm Springs, and they said, "Oh, you got to go meet the director and the producers." And I said, "I can't. I'm wasted. I can't go in there and see them right now." And well, you have to. They need to see you. Blah blah blah. And I went in toast, and that was it. I just screwed that one up so bad, and that was the end of that. So I mean, yeah, there was a lot of different decisions, but it is what it is.
And you never then get like, okay, it comes out and Kevin Bacon. Are you just like, oh man? Or is it just like, this is life? Let's just get over it. I mean,
Oh well, yeah,
no one could blame you for not getting over it for a minute.
yeah. I mean, you have to just move on in life. I mean, that's just the way it is. But at the and like people say, things were meant for a reason. I ended up going through the rehab, and I ended up changing my whole life and everything. So I mean, you have to get knocked down a few times, and yeah, that was one of the things. Do I ever want to go back to that? Do I ever want that to happen? I don't have to if I don't put myself there, but I'm not going to forget it, because if I forget it, then it's not going to hurt as much if I do it. I will do it. Do you see what I'm saying? So that's why you don't want to ever really forget these things. But yeah, of course, I kick myself. I absolutely I kick myself, because life is so much better and happier. And and I'm not that person. That's the hardest guilt and ugliness, is I'm not that person when I was drinking. I'm not. But because of that, I became that person, and I don't want to be that person. That's not who I am. So there were good things that came out of it, but yeah, of course, I look at it and go, oh man, I could have been Kevin Bacon, you know.
That's understandable at times, right? I mean, we
Absolutely.
could be playing 6 degrees of Chris Atkins.
Yeah. Yep.
Was there any? I did know about Footloose. Was there ever another part, like at any point in your career, where like you almost got it? Also, where we say like, oh, I don't know, like you could have been in Johnny Depp in Pirates or something like that, like where you were really close to something that we know of.
No, I think the business forgets you really quickly, because there's always somebody else who comes from behind. There's always some new rising star. You get older, you move into a different age group or a different demographic in films, and if you don't have that stardom, I had the stardom, but like I said, it didn't stay. It didn't continue. And part of that was I didn't, you have to really throw a lot of money and a lot of time and energy at the machine.